Hi, this is Sveta from Home Staging Step by Step, and today is the second in my series of Facebook Lives, and the objective of those little clips is to give you the most important tips and mistakes that you should be avoiding while preparing your house for sale. So last week I had one about not overpricing your property, but the question is, how do you know how to price it? And that, my friends, is more of an art than a science. I've talked to several of my friends who are realtors, and there's no exact science on how to price your property correctly. But in this clip, what I want to really talk about is how to research. And of course, the more research you do and the more competitive analysis you do, well, the better chance you have that your property will be priced correctly. And I think it's super important to do it right the first time, so you won't need to go through a property reduction price, which is never a good thing, and we talked about it in the last video. So before I talk about the research, I think the number one factor that you should consider is, I know it's going to be hard, but you do have to emotionally detach yourself as much as possible from your house. So what you have to think about, this is not your home anymore. It's really a marketing product that you're trying to sell for most money possible. And that's the way to look at it. I know it could be hard, but really you have to try to do it as much as possible. Now, how do you conduct a competitive research? Well, obviously today things are much easier because you have access to internet. So that would be the first place that I think you should start. Go on your MLS system and go look at what other properties are for sale at this time, which are very similar to yours, which are in the neighborhood, and how much they're selling for. Now, don't remember that because they're selling at a certain price, it doesn't mean that they're going to be sold at that price. So it is very important to look at the historical data as well. And for that, you can talk to one or two or three realtors who specialize in your area. They should come equipped with the market analysis for you, and they should show you what has sold in the last 6 to 12 months in the area. Now remember, there's not one house that is exactly the same as other houses. So again, this is just a comparison point, but it's not necessarily the exact price. You'll never have the exact ones. But what do I do suggest for the houses that you're looking at on the internet? Go and look at the photos and compare feature by feature to your own house, especially big things like windows and condition of the roof and the kitchen and the bathrooms, of course. So those are all the important things to look at, so you can make a chart and compare and see how it looks compared to yours. And then, of course, another good thing, if in your area you have such a thing as open houses, which basically anybody can go into, then I definitely recommend that you do that. And you go to houses not just for fun, but with the critical mind and objective, and you look at the house which is similar to yours as much as possible, and see what features they have and how renovated the house is and how it generally looks, how it showcases, if it's nicely decorated, if it's freshly repainted. And all of those things you really should write down so you know what to do for yourself. Now, the one last thing maybe I want to talk about is really to look at the potential clientele for your house. Now, it's never, again, you could be very surprised. I remember I staged one of my condos for a couple and with a kid, and then at the end of the day it was a single lady in her 60s who bought it. So you never know exactly, but if you do look around your building or your area, your neighborhood, and you see who is moving in and who lives in that area, will give you a good indication whether it's a house in the suburbs and you have a family with young children, or maybe it's somebody who is upgrading, a professional family who is upgrading to their second or their third home, or it could be somebody who is downsizing, so maybe they don't need a big home anymore, and it's just a couple who wants to have maybe a home office or a guest room. So by talking to your realtors as well, they will probably give you a good indication of what's happening in your neighborhood. So when you are staging your house, you already know what kind of clientele you should be staging for, because people don't have a lot of imagination, and that's why home staging works so well. Now, One last thing, I encourage you to go to our link that I post above the description of this video. And before you do anything else, you can take an absolutely free home staging house assessment quiz. It's very short, it's only about 9 questions, but it will give you already preliminary result of the marketability of your house at this present time, so you'll know if it's perfect as is, or if it needs a little bit of staging and some cosmetics applied to it to make it look its best. So I hope you enjoyed this and have a great day. Thank you.